BBC Radio York at coming up to 16 minutes past 6. So yes, Yorkshire supermarket chain Morrisons are introducing a weekly quiet hour for autistic shoppers who struggle with music and noise. I never gave it much thought, but lights will be dimmed, music turned off, with tannoy announcements kept to a minimum, and it'll be rolled out on Saturdays between 9 and 10 in the morning. Well, let's get a take on this. David Newell is from Specialist Autism Services, a charitable trust, and joins us on the line now. So, what effect does a normal, say, Morrisons or a supermarket shop have on someone who is autistic? Then, David, why the need for a quiet hour?
Those kind of environments can be quite challenging for individuals with autism who will encounter sensory issues around that. So it can be sometimes about the noise and the bustle, and it can be very difficult sometimes for people to concentrate and to focus. And sometimes those ambient noises that other individuals might take for granted can be sometimes really, really overwhelming. And the fact that Morrisons have done this, I think, is a real positive step forward. There's been other supermarkets do it kind of like one-off. I know at York, Askham, Bar, Tesco are kind of doing the same kind of thing, looking for their store to become more autism-friendly, and Marks and Spencer's at Meadowhall in Sheffield have done the same kind of thing. But to have an entire supermarket chain, across the country, that's brilliant.
Well, all in all, it must be fantastic to have the recognition. I mean, we're all aware of autism now, and I think most of us are, and the spectrum that it's different for different people. Mm-hmm. But the awareness now, I mean, it's right out there. For Morrisons to do this, you must be delighted.
I think it's a hugely significant step forward, and what we kind of also have to remember is that supermarkets have been kind of doing this kind of thing where it's not been labelled as autism specific, but a lot of people with autism have found it hugely advantageous. And that might be something as simple as self-service tills, where I was speaking to one of our staff today, and they said it's kind of a real blessing because I don't have that anxiety that may be created from having a social interaction with a staffed till. But if I've got like a self-service unit, it's brilliant. I can just, kind of go in, and I don't have that concern. It's the same with 24-hour supermarkets. A lot of people with autism I've spoken to find that hugely advantageous to be able to go shopping at 3 a.m. because they know it's going to be so quiet.
Well, there you are. You see, you've just highlighted the spectrum, if you like, because there's anxiety over social interaction. Mm-hmm. And then, I remember working with a lad who came here for a short time, the sort of an awareness, if you like, of social interaction, and a lad who could come across as being rude, but he didn't know it. It was this sort of he was working on a different level, if you like, to the rest of us.
Yeah, I think communication. People with autism, there's much more an economy about it, and there's a much more focus about it, and sometimes that can be misinterpreted as being rude when instead it's kind of like being very focused and incredibly efficient, which is another way to look at it, really.
Absolutely, yes. The rest of us just chatting away, wasting the working day. I'm sure the bosses would love that. Yeah. As we say, we're talking about it. It's made the BBC News website today. So it's all grist to the mill, David. Win-win.
Yeah, it's and the kind of thing which is also the huge advantage, is the differences are going to be hugely significant for people with autism, but for the rest of the population it's probably going to be advantageous for them, because very rarely will you get someone go into a shop and complain, I don't think the music is loud enough in here. And I think to have something like this, the difference is very subtle, it's very nuanced, but it's going to make huge significances for people with autism or their families going shopping.
Indeed. Well, it's good talking to you, David. Thanks
Thank
very
you very
much for coming on and talking to us. David Newell there from the Specialist Autism Services, a charitable trust. On the news today that Morrisons, as a matter of course, are going to have a quiet hour on Saturdays in all their stores around the country, and it'll be between 9 and 10. I'm still smiling at David saying that many people will go in and, the elevator music, as they call it, lift music. No one's going to say, can you turn that up a bit? I don't mind music myself, obviously. I'd be silly to say that. Look at the industry I work in, but I do appreciate some people find it a little much.